Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've made a video, but I've been sick. My gastroparesis has gotten worse. I'm having more and more hospitalizations, and I just feel that every time I go in, I am being gaslighted more and more. When I tell somebody what's going on, I feel like my feelings and my concerns are being dismissed because they think it's a flare-up. I'm on pain meds and everything at home. I have been since January, and up until about 2 weeks ago, my nausea meds and everything was helping. It wasn't 100% taking everything away, but it was helping. Now it's to the point where about a month ago, I had a hospitalization for 8 days, and like the third or the fourth day into it, they had to lightly sedate me because the pain was so out of control. I was hysterically crying from what I understood. All they do is just trick you up. They do nothing to help you, even though you tell them that there's things that have been done before. They look at you like you're a liar. I'm just sick of it. I had past 2 weeks, I've had 2 more hospitalizations. And somebody said to me, it sounds like you need a PICC line. They're expensive to put in, and you can get an infection, but you can get antibiotics for that. They're expensive to put in, but at least you have a PICC line. You can get nourishment, and you can give your stomach a break, and then, your GI and your PCP can reassess your stomach situation within a few months. I addressed that to my doctors, and they just look at me and tell me I'm not there. That if they go before the medical board won't approve for me to have a PICC line in, but yet they approved for me to have a PICC line put in twice, probably about 7 years ago when I was at the hospital. Not once, but twice to go home on, And then they removed it before I left the hospital, those times. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to get any type of feeding regimen. I'm not there yet. I'm on Ensure, which 90% of the times I throw right back up. But every time I go to see my doctor, oh, you look good for somebody who's saying that they're thrown up and who is saying that they're in that much pain. To me, that's sarcasm at its finest. And it's almost as if she's saying I'm lying without saying I'm lying, or I'm making more of it, if you will, than there is really there. And I'm not. I'm just so fed up with being told to do the same thing over and over with diets. They're not telling me anything different that they told me 13, 14 years ago when I got diagnosed with this. But it's the same thing. Oh, if this don't work, when I see you in 2 to 3 weeks, we'll go to the next step. Well, guess what? Every time I go back, I'm still at step 2. It never goes forward. I've addressed with my PCP about a PICC line. Oh, well, that would have to go through the medical board, and they won't approve that because your levels are going to be at a certain, I understand that, but I mean, I'm not exaggerating, but one hospital here in Massachusetts, I've had in the past 13, 14 years that I've had this, I've had close to, I want to say 1,000 admissions. If that in itself doesn't say that somebody needs to intervene somewhere to help get nourishment, then what the hell and when the hell will that happen? This past admission that I had, one of the nurses, which I will not say her name, came into the room and said, I came from so-and-so. And she told me that, oh yeah, we had to send patients up to a certain hospital here in Boston. I said, when was that? Oh, about 1.5 years ago, to get what's called an electric stimulator, which sends shockwaves to, your stomach, almost like when you get a pacemaker and it sends shockwaves, to your heart to beat, to get that blood flowing. And she goes, oh yeah, about 1 year ago, we sent our patient up. I said, wow, I've been told that they don't do that here no more. I'm being told I gotta go to Utah or San Francisco or Texas to have it done. She goes, no, my friend. She says, first off, you need a port so you're not poked 1,000,000 times. Because from being sick all the time, my potassium drops. And sometimes when they give me potassium, it burns. And I could tell them that needs to go at a low speed. I know it will take longer, but this is hurting. Sometimes they'll turn it down, other times they won't. And that's when I take the IV out, because it burns. But one person said, I've read your chart and you have had quite a bit. Yeah, quite a bit. I have been called a drug seeker, which, after I had a big argument with one doctor, because he said to me, do you know how many admissions you've had in this hospital alone? And just going through a bunch of other stuff. And he was like raising his voice. And I was on a stretcher out in front of the nurse's station because all the rooms are taken. I said, first off, yes, I do. I know exactly how many times I've been here. I said, and second off, it's not my fault. If I can't control my pain at home, what am I supposed to do? I call the doctor, and either the doctor calls or a nurse calls back and tells me to come back. Or if I go to see my PCP, she tells me that I'm wasting her time, or I wasted my time, and calls an ambulance and sends me there. Well, long story short, saying that I'm a seeker and all that stuff. So after he did every test, it came back negative. But that got me. But what got me is he loudly said it in front of a whole ER, in front of patients, in front of staff, in front of visitors. Nothing ever gets done about that. So it's okay for doctors or nurses to gaslight us patients or harass us. But it's not okay for us to stand up. Well, that changed. That changed. Because my last hospitalization that I had was last week. A doctor came in and goes, well, you do know taking pain meds and nausea meds is the worst thing for you. And he was being very condescending and a smirk on his face. And I said, yes, I do understand that it's not good for anybody's stomach. I said, but when you have chronic illness and when you have chronic pain and that extra strength Tylenol, or ibuprofen or heating pad or ice pack isn't helping. I said, what is a patient supposed to do? And especially if they can't keep their meds at home that normally work, what is this patient supposed to do? He told me what he wanted to do, and I said, that's fine with me. And then, he came in the next day and he apologized to me. He said, we're going to continue to give it to you every 3 hours. He says, I read your record and I could see how much pain you're in. I can hear you crying and everything. He says, I'm going to have the GI revisit you. And this was Wednesday, this past Wednesday. And I said, okay, but what changed? He said, to be honest with you, I just thought you were seeking. He says, and I so apologize. He says, I just don't understand why nobody has given you a PICC line to give your stomach a rest. I said, well, that is the big thing all these years. Anyways, long story short, they were supposed to have a GI come down. 4 hours later, a nurse comes in with my discharge papers, telling me I've been discharged. Wouldn't even let my fiance. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, let me call my fiance and let me, have him get an Uber and, to get up here. She goes, oh no, he can meet you downstairs. We got other patients that need the room. I said, but I still have abdominal pain. I'm still very nauseous and tossing my cookies. I said, I'm not ready to go home yet. She goes, well, you've been discharged. I said, but I was supposed to be revisited by the GI that came in yesterday. She goes, make an appointment to see a doctor. That's all I could tell you. Well, I got home and all that, and over the weekend, pains going up a little bit more, nausea's a little bit more. And 10 o'clock tonight, pain's gotten so bad that it's going through my whole abdomen area. It's going into my back on both sides. It's going right up into the chest. And I'm not paranoid, but I am so scared to go back. Will they do anything? Will they have me just sit there 3 hours out in the waiting room again, and then another 4 in front of the nurse's station, seeing me vomit and dry heaving and in pain for 5 hours before I get my first dose of pain and nausea meds? Do I really want to sit there and take that chance? Or do I just want to wait and go see my PCP tomorrow? But what I'm trying to get at is, I shouldn't have this fear to go to the hospital. I don't care if I've had 1 million visits there. I shouldn't have this fear. I have quite a few surgical clips in me. I know some people's bodies accept them and some people's bodies fight against it, and I think that's where this new pain is coming from. I've actually had this pain for quite some time, but it became more intense last week, and one of the nurses said surgical clips may need to be removed. We'll get surgery down here. I never seen anybody from surgery. I said, well, I have massive adhesions, and the last time that this happened, I said it was a fight. Every CAT scan, MRI, ultrasound, x-ray, every test that, the hospital took came back negative, and I was told I was fine. Doctor told me when this happened in 2010, well, if you're still in pain by morning, mid-afternoon, then I'll go in and do an exploratory surgery on you. Middle of the night, I didn't even make it past 4 o'clock. I don't even think it was 3:30 yet. I'm crying hysterically because of the pain. My nurse called and says she can't wait. They ended up rushing me into the ER. And, I had so many adhesions that the doctor took out, and underneath the adhesions was a small bowel obstruction. He removed the adhesions, and he removed the small bowel obstructions, and removed a portion of my stomach. That was in my head, right? Well, after that pain that I was getting in that area eased up for the longest time. Don't get me wrong, I still had pain from my gastroparesis, but I was able to control that, at home with the meds that I was on. Or if I ended up in the hospital, the lowest dose of pain meds were helping. And that's what I keep trying to tell these doctors today. And they look at me like I'm a friggin' liar. And I'm so sick of it. And no offense if there's somebody in the medical field that's watching this, no offense to you, but because you're a doctor or because you're a nurse, doesn't mean you're always right. It doesn't mean that you know everything. It's a proven fact. You may be good at what you do, but doesn't mean you know everything. So I sit here. Past 14 years, my health has declined. It's gotten much worse in the past year. I've become so weak that I have a wheelchair that I can no longer go out and do shopping normally, get on the bus or whatever and go do shopping normally the way I did and push in a cart. I now need a wheelchair to do that. I now need a wheelchair to go out to do family functions or to the mall. All because I am weak and just 90% of the times just don't have the strength because of my gastroparesis and because of the lack of nutrition that I'm getting. But yet, I'm not there yet to get any intervention with any type of feeding tubes. I'm not there yet. So basically, I'm starving to death. But I'm always being told, do small bites, do small sips. If you're feeling like this the next time, then we'll just go to the next step. Never happens. This is why I don't trust anybody. I know it's wrong to say. I should be able to trust, especially in the medical field. But when you have a chronic illness and they know what needs to be done, but they're doing nothing about it, that's wrong. I'm just tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I don't know what to do anymore. It's ruining my life. It's mentally, emotionally, and physically draining me. And yes, I've tried every single diet that's out there, from gastroparesis diet to baby food diet to liquid diet. I've even starved myself so I don't have to throw up. And no patient with this should have to ever do that. If a patient's telling a doctor, hey, look, pain meds that were helping before is really not touching it, the pain's overpowering it, the doctor should listen. Yes, I understand with the crisis that's going on in this world today, they're very cautious, and they want to make sure that, people aren't overdoing it. I understand and I agree. But they complain if they have to give pain meds, but yet a patient tells you, I have adhesions, this is what was done before, and this was the outcome. They need to listen to the patient. Maybe remove these clips. Maybe remove the massive amounts of adhesions that I have. Just maybe some of that pain will ease up. Therefore, I could cut back on my pain meds, cut back on my nausea meds, and have somewhat of a life and be able to function. That's all I want. I don't want to be on these. I hate feeling loopy. I hate feeling groggy. I want to be a part of society. I want to get back out there, but I can't. All because I'm not getting treated medically the proper way I'm supposed to. And then on top of that, April of last year, long story short, I know this is a long video, I got a little lightheaded and I fell in my tub. And I didn't say anything for the first 6 weeks because I thought I just pulled a muscle or whatever. And one night the pain just got so bad and I kind of almost collapsed, and an ambulance was called. I was rushed into the hospital. Comes to find out I have a 7mm cyst in my spine. I have had trigger injections done. It never helped. They want me to get an epidural in my back injection. I refuse to do it. I have spoken to countless people that I have made friends with all around the world, and I have heard horror stories, and I have heard some good stories that have come out of it, but I'm not going to do it. It's my right as a human, and it's my right as a patient. So yes, they're leaving a cyst in my spine, and that's another reason why I have the wheelchair, because I can say I can walk a half a block and the pain starts kicking in really bad to the point where my legs shake. And sometimes, I almost fall. But thank God my fiance's there to help me. And I've told them that, and they just tell me, well, you just got to get the epidural. I'm not going to get something that I don't want to get. And I'm sure they wouldn't push their family or themselves, wouldn't go through it if they, were being forced into it. Not everything works. If it works for you, doesn't mean it's going to work for me. So yeah, so now for a little over a year, I've had a cyst, which is getting bigger in my spine. Nothing's being done there. In 2011, they found 2 nodules in my left lung. Nothing's being done there. And I question them on it, and they say, well, you're not a smoker. We really don't want to go in and remove them. I can understand it, but at the same time, with all the hospitalizations that I've had due to my gastroparesies and all the radiation that I've encountered, that worries me. Doesn't seem to worry them. I have a lump in my left breast that was found by a mammogram in 2014. That's still in there. So, yeah. Pardon me if I don't trust the medical field anymore. But I'm not sorry for advocating for myself. I'll never be sorry. I used to be so petrified when a doctor came in and said, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I would just sit there and say, okay, even though I wanted to say something. And then one day a nurse came in and said, no, you need to advocate for yourself, because if you keep doing that and you don't advocate for yourself, these doctors are going to think that they can do this to the next patient, and so on and so on. Now it's to the point where I'm advocating for myself, and they don't know what to do. They're like, whoa, wait a minute, she's advocating for herself. Just like that doctor, I said, fine, I understand with the pain meds. You want to take, if you want to discharge me, send me home, I can go home. And I could take my pain meds there. I said, but I'm not saying I'm going to keep it down. I understand where you're coming from, but you got to understand where the hell I'm coming from. Don't give me these other alternatives, or I have to try other alternatives. I've done everything under the sun for my abdominal pain. And I'm tired of it. And I told them, I said, I've had this, I've had that, I've done this, I've done that. I said, believe me, I've done all that before I started taking pain meds at home. I've done it all, so don't come into this room and tell me what I need to do. And I said, you as a doctor need to listen to a patient. So yeah, now that I'm advocating for myself, they don't know whether to shit or go blind, because they're not expecting a patient to advocate for themselves. They're expecting a patient to sit there and just take the crap from them. Well, I'm going to start advocating. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to make a ruckus until something is done. And if I don't get that help, and God forbid something happens to me, I've started something that I hope somebody else will continue to help the next person that is chronically ill. Because I know I'm not going to get anywhere. I've been fighting for 14 years to get some sort of feeding regimen, and I'm getting nothing. But I'm going to fight and fight and fight, and go on every social media and talk about it. And I know I'm going to get negative comments, and people do have a right to their comments. I just deal with it the best way that I can. But I also have a right to go out there with what's going on and tell my story as well. I mean, it's sad. I have been through 11 GI doctors, and I was asked the other day if I wanted to get a new GI doctor. No, I don't. The one GI doctor that I have is in Massachusetts, where I live, and he's very, very hard to get in with. But I've even told him how bad it is, and he's dismissed what I've said and said I'm not there yet. So my thing is, why go to a doctor? Because they all say the same thing. Go to the hospital, go to your doctor. It's a vicious circle. No. How about a doctor? Listen to us, patients. When we tell you that there is something seriously wrong, regardless if nothing shows up on any of your goddamn tests, does not mean that there's not something going on. Because one of these days, you doctors are going to ignore somebody and tell them there's nothing wrong with them and send them home because your machines don't see anything, so you think all is well. What are you going to do if something happens to that patient? That's going to be on you. And it's sad that that is happening in this world. And those are the people that I'm trying to advocate for. The ones that just are too petrified to stand up for themselves. Well, I'm not going to stand for this no more. I'm not. I shouldn't have to come on here and rant. I should be able to go to my doctors, but to be honest with you all, I don't trust anybody anymore. And I know I've been repeating it, but I don't. And it's so sad that I feel this way. It's sad. My doctor tells me a couple of months back, hey, if you feel that you're getting dehydrated, make an appointment to come in and see me, and I can give you IV fluids here. You don't know when you're going to get dehydrated. Sometimes it just comes on so quickly. So how are you going to make an appointment? And what gets me is when my PCP said that to me, I'm like, but I've tried to make appointments with you so many times before, and every time I tell you people, you know, this is what's bothering me, this is what's going on, oh, don't come here because we'll just send you to the hospital. I kind of felt like I was being like a dodgeball and you were just going to send me there anyways. Now all of a sudden, you're willing to give me fluids? It's to the point where it took them almost 3 hours about a month ago to get an IV in me, and they ended up sending me out to the hospital. Yeah, that's what happens when you listen to your goddamn patient and the veins are completely collapsed. But nope. Doctors with the MD at the end of their name just think they know everything. Yeah. Well, no more. I'm going to advocate for you people that are too petrified to do it. And you know what? Like I said, I know there's going to be some ears out there that are going to say I'm being whiny or being negative Nancy. You have a right to your comments. I'm not going to take any offense by it. But I do know what I'm going through, and I've been going through it for 14 years. And it may be too late for me, but I'll be goddamned if anybody else that suffers with any type of chronic illness has to go through what I've gone through. If I have anything to do with it before I leave this earth, when it becomes my time, I'm putting my mark in. And if I have to post a video every day about how I'm feeling and all that, I'm going to do it. I should have did it a long time ago. But some people said that people don't care about videos like this. All the crap that I see. No, I'm putting it out there. I have GP, idiopathic gastroparesies. I've had it for close to 14 years. I throw up just about daily. I'm lucky if I eat 2 meals a week. I survive on Ensure and Gatorade. I can't do anything because I'm so weak. I can't go anywhere by myself because I'm so weak. I'm in a wheelchair when I go outside. I'm depressed. I'm completely drained. All because these doctors don't want to do a damn thing to help me except say, go to the hospital. Or here's some pain meds. Yous all complain about giving patients pain meds and how bad it is, which I agree. But yet you don't want to do anything to try to correct the reason why patients are in pain. Adhesions? Yeah. We all know you go in, you're going to create more, but get the ones that are in there out. I want these surgical clips goddamn taken out of me. They have been bothering me since day one. My body's rejecting them. That could be a good portion of my pain, but none of yous listen to me. I'm surprised half of you doctors have your license. I really am. I really am. Well, I thank everybody for taking, half an hour to listen to me rant. I greatly appreciate you. If you want to leave a comment, whether it's negative or positive, I don't care. But if you could do so, please rate, leave a comment, share. Help me get this out there. Thank you.